The History and Story channel welcomes you, and here we go. Vadim sat at the set table, tucked into a newspaper. Diana was sitting across from him, applying makeup, telling her husband as she went. Vadim, eat up, your dinner's getting cold. You were busy with the kids, now you're staring at the newspaper. Isn't the internet enough for you? What are you looking at? It's the local paper. They publish various ads for apartments, long-term, daily, couple hours. And why do you want the apartment? I don't know yet. You're talking nonsense. You should think about how we're going to celebrate my birthday. It's not a big date, 34 years old. I think we'll invite guests to our house. Yurka and Katya, Svetka and her boyfriend. A couple girls from work. No. I don't want your guests. They'll disturb my rest. What do you mean your guests? You're acting a little weird today. Your guests are your guests. And that means I don't want to host your lover in my cottage. Although I do like his spouse, who I assume is in the dark about your affair. As for the others you've started listing, I think they're all having fun watching me grow horns. So I don't want to see these people and invite them to my house either. From such words of her husband, Diana stopped applying makeup and opened her mouth in surprise, but pulling herself together, she said. You know what, Vadim, this is my cottage too. I can invite anyone to my party. I don't need your permission. Besides, what makes you think Yuri is my lover? I have never had a lover, and I don't have one. Diana didn't know, Vadim was heartbroken when the affair between his best friend and Diana found confirmation. But he kept his cool and didn't make a scene. Yuri had been his friend since high school. Diana was his first true love and he was a devoted and caring husband. Vadim enjoyed a happy life in which his whole world was his wife and his children. All he wanted was for them to be happy. But recently everything had fallen apart. He learned that Diana and Yuri were meeting at Yuri's dacha, which was adapted for winter living, while his wife Katya and their children were in a city apartment. So today Diana announced that she was going to the movies with her friend Svetlana, for 8 o'clock in the evening. The movie would end late, and to avoid hanging around the city at night, she would walk Sveta home and stay the night at her place. She'd be there by 12 noon on Saturday. It was all a version for Vadim. In fact, she had planned to meet Yurka at his dacha. Officially, for his wife, Yuri was away on a business trip. But no one knew that Vadim knew for sure that he had hidden in his dacha and was waiting for Diana today. Continuing the conversation he had started with Diana, he replied. That's why I'm looking for an apartment for myself according to the local newspaper. I'm interested, did you receive Yurka in our bedroom, or did you limit yourself to his dacha? Listen, stop this silly conversation. Why is he stupid? Tell me, does it piss you off that I'm going to the movies with a friend for once? No, I know you're not going to a movie. You watched it on your computer during work hours. I think it's just to get an idea of what it's like. In fact, I'm no longer bothered or interested in you. The pain is gone, but it's still there. The main thing for me is children. So my question is, are you and Yuri going to start a family, or are you going to meet behind our backs? Listen, you're a maniac. I told you I have nothing to do with him, and he's your friend. I haven't seen him in 2 months. And about the movie, you can call Svetka and ask her. I know I can. Here are pictures of your meetings over the last 2 months. While you're studying them and thinking how you can lie more cleverly, I'll tell you to tell Yurka that he'd better not meet me. And about tonight. I can't imagine how Svetka will go to the movies with you if she and her boyfriend have gone to visit his parents out of town. I met him by chance, a normal guy. I don't think he'd be thrilled if he knew his fiancée was covering for you. What do you want? I asked you questions, are you gonna start a family with him, or is it just for a little while? But you're not ready to answer. I think you should talk to Yurka. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying home with you and the kids. I don't think you're staying here tonight. You told the kids you were going to the movies. And you can't lie to them. And your lover, my ex-friend, is waiting for you. With whom, you now have to work out your line of behavior. I haven't heard back from you, so maybe you're in love and I'm standing in the way of your happiness. Thinking quickly, and hesitating to look at the pictures, Diana said. Vadim, I'm sorry, I screwed up. I thought I was cunning and clever. But now I know I screwed up. I was incredibly stupid to allow myself this affair. I'm sorry, you don't deserve to be treated like this. You have every right to be angry with me. But from that moment on, everything stops. When did all this start? Not that long ago. That's not an answer. It started at Katie's birthday party. You mean 6 months ago? So you gave a gift to his wife. That's how it works. But we're not in love. Yuri flirted with me, like a lot of other guys. I can't help it, it's the lot of every beautiful woman, and men will always try to flirt with me, but I always tell them no. Although, I won't deny it, I've always liked the advances of men. I don't know. When I asked you to marry me, I forced you to say yes. Of course not. Understand, I love you. Then why did you go out with Yurka? Well, that's a rhetorical question. That's it, your time is up. I promise to pay attention to the kids. Then I'll put them to bed. I hope you won't be here by then. Vadim got up from the table and went to the second floor, to the children. Diana sat there and didn't know what to do now. She realized that she had been caught with Yurka because of her curiosity. She wondered whether her husband would notice that she was cheating or not. She didn't notice that he had realized it a long time ago. She looked at the pictures left for her and was horrified. She hadn't expected a greater shame. In the photos, there was only her getting out of Yuri's car near his dacha, or there she was getting out of a cab, and the dates when it all happened. There was nothing compromising. One would have thought that she had made her confession now for nothing. But Diana realized she was in trouble. Vadim was smart and far from an idiot, he knew something was going on. That she had to answer him. If she lied, she could lose him forever. Besides, it was possible that he had other pictures, but he was in no hurry to use them. Knowing that her husband and the kids would be busy until at least 10 o'clock at night, Diana retired to the guest room and dialed Yuri. Hello. Yura, I have a problem, Vadim knows everything. Knows what? He knows everything about us. What did he say? He told me to leave and he hasn't made any decisions about me. He said he didn't want to see you. Where'd you go? To your place, as planned. But I think that's unacceptable. So I'm not coming. Why don't I come over and talk to him? You're crazy. If Katia finds out about this, I'll go crazy. We have to stop him. But how? I don't know. Maybe I should call him. I don't think he'll talk to you. As Diana had planned, Vadim came down to the kitchen, around 10 p.m., having put the children to bed. Seeing her, he inquired. And what prevented you from going to the movies? Diana wanted to answer, but Vadim raised his hand, as if to stop her flow of words, and continued. Just a week ago, when something could still be fixed, because I did not know much, I talked to you on the subject of infidelity. And then you gave me your concept that you were an independent woman and that you were not interested in my opinion, and urged me to keep my opinion to myself. Vadim poured himself some water, drank it, and continued. Diana, I don't want to start this conversation again, too much has changed this week. But, honestly, that conversation was the trigger to realize that you were cheating on me. Only when I found out who it was with, I was shocked. Shocked that it was my friend and shocked at your actions. You had to know you'd get caught, and you already knew what I'd do. The only thing holding me back is the kids. They're not involved, and they shouldn't have to suffer. I thought we were being very careful. I don't know how you caught me. But we were coming to an end. Tonight was supposed to be our last meeting. How did it even start? It all started with a friend of Sveta's. I never told you, but she's been married twice, and both times she got caught cheating. In fact, she has a lot of experience with men. She was filling my head with stories of her torrid affairs. And at the same time, recommending this pastime to me. Pointing out that we're not getting any younger. She said it would add variety to my personal life, make me feel wanted, and make my marriage stronger. She's the one who got it into my head that I'm an independent woman and my opinion is more important than anything else. Tell me, what are you going to do? I want an answer from you first. What are you and Yuri up to? I admit that I've become an obstacle on your way to a happy life. That you, an independent woman, are not limited in your freedom of decision. Vadim, I told you, I'm through with Yuri. I don't know. You said it without consulting him. Maybe he has a different solution than you do. And when I'm not around, you'll get together and everything will change again. I don't want to destroy our family. I didn't want that, and I don't want that either. But we don't have a family anymore. I just can't have kids growing up without parents. So we'll talk about how to proceed on Tuesday. In the morning, when she woke up, Anna went down from the bedroom to the kitchen. The children were already there, eating breakfast with Vadim. She greeted everyone and asked, "Is there anything left for me?" "No, you sleep till 12 noon on Saturdays. I have to take the kids to school. When can I expect you?" "Not soon. I have things to do in town." The kids got up from the table and ran to their rooms, to get their school backpacks. Diana took advantage of their absence, she said. "I just wanted to talk to you more about it. It's not like we decided anything last night. Besides, why were you sleeping in the guest room?" "I told the kids I snore a lot, and you don't get enough sleep, and now I'm sleeping in there." "About the discussion, if you're talking about your birthday, then decide which cafe you're going to celebrate it in. I don't want your guests at the cottage, much less your lover. That's what I told you yesterday. We'll discuss the rest on Tuesday, as we agreed." "But why Tuesday? I can talk to Yuri now in your presence." "I'm not interested. And Yuri asks you not to tell Katya about all this. So you've already called him and talked it over?" "I called him and told him we're over." "Right, so he wouldn't expect you to come over." "I'm going to start the car, I have to go." Vadim and the children left. Diana made herself a light breakfast, thinking at the same time about what she should do now. All her calculations that Vadim would change a little in the morning, taking into account that she hadn't gone anywhere yesterday, didn't come true. And then it was unclear what he might have to do in the city on Saturday. At that time her phone rang. Svetlana was calling. "Hey, girlfriend. Sorry to call so early. Are you at Jurik's?" "I'm at home. Couldn't you have warned me? If Vadim had called me, he would have caught you. He already caught me, and I don't know what to do now." "Oh, boy. I'm no better, though. What's up with you?" "I got up this morning, so I thought I'd show you I'm a hard worker." And then the neighbor walks in. "So? That's Pashka, my other lover. I didn't know that his parents also live in this village." "And what, did they fight?" "No, they didn't. They put a lantern on me, put me on a bus and sent me home. Now I'm sitting here wondering how to get it out. I have to work on Monday. What do you recommend?" "Buy some bologna at the drugstore. And they say it doesn't help much. I'm hoping for makeup." "I already know about the makeup. You tell me, how do I get my husband back?" "It's complicated, especially your husband. He's kind of stubborn. But you have kids. That's what you need to hold on to. Aren't you coming to see me tonight?" "What for?" "We'll sit, cry, drink cognac. If only in the morning, for a couple hours. Then the kids will be home from school. And Vadim will show up. I have to make amends, and I have to convince him somehow. Should I come to your place? No, he said he doesn't want to see my friends. Vadim took the children to school, arranged with them when to come to pick them up, and promised that after school they would go to the skating rink. After that, he started calling the owners of the apartments listed in the newspaper advertisements. Half an hour later he was on his way to the first address, having made an agreement with the owner. So he drove around to almost everyone he chose, and then he went to the school. He picked up the children and went with them to the skating rink. On the way there they stopped at a cafe, had lunch, and then had fun at the skating rink. They returned home at about 8 o'clock in the evening. Diana, who was eager to reconcile with Vadim, was exhausted and very unhappy with their late arrival. Vadim ignored her displeasure and calmly began to prepare dinner. He noted to himself that Diana had been drinking, and not at home. He did not ask any questions about it. Around 9 p.m. Vadim called the children for dinner and sat down at the table with them. Diana had been sitting in the hall watching the news the whole time. When dinner was over and the children went upstairs to their rooms, she entered the kitchen and started the conversation. Vadim, I went out with Sveta today. Not at our house, I hope. No, it's not. She's in trouble. Her boyfriend dumped her. What? The parents didn't like it. It's just that her other lover's parents were neighbors, and they met. Resulted in a black eye. A fitting finale. I want to talk to you about how we're going to move forward. We've decided that we'll discuss it on Tuesday. Before we decide anything, maybe you could come back to our bedroom. I don't think that's going to happen. Vadim, I'll be your old loving wife, and what happened will never happen again. I know you love me, and we have to keep our family together. Yeah, I was a fool, but I learned my lesson. I mean, you learned not to get caught. That it's bad. And now, I'm going to bed. Late the next day, Diana woke up to find that Vadim and the children had gone somewhere. He didn't think it necessary to inform her where they were going on Sunday. After sobbing on her pillow all night and morning, she hadn't figured out what to do or how to beg Vadim's forgiveness. She knew he loved her, and felt that as a strong man, he should understand and forgive. When Vadim found out that Diana was having an affair with Yurka, he was devastated. No, he didn't take control of her phone, set up surveillance on her, he just calculated everything. So appearing in places where they met and where they shouldn't be, he knew in advance. Then he decided that there was no need to follow her actions. His life was devoted to Diana and the children, and now he found out for himself that his love and fidelity were not enough for Diana. Vadim, for the sake of the children, had already decided, he would keep the semblance of a life together and the semblance of a family. All of this would be until the children were out of the family nest. And that was quite a long time. Son Nikolai, before he turned 18, was still 8 years old, and daughter Eugenia, 10. So he wanted to make his future life comfortable enough, without Diana, but with children. That was what he was going to tell Diana on Tuesday. And today, taking advantage of the good sunny weather, he went with the children out of town, to a recreation center. In the evening they returned tired, but despite this, Vadim went straight to the kitchen and began to prepare dinner. After an hour he called everyone to the table, including Diana. The dinner went quietly. The children told how they rode bicycles, went to the stables, and fed the horses. Diana listened to them and was ready to burst into tears. When dinner was over, she volunteered to do the dishes. Vadim agreed and went upstairs with the children. Soon they heard squeaks and laughter from the games they were playing. Diana didn't know that Vadim had visited a lawyer and they had sorted out everything that was going on in his family. The lawyer considered all the options for his future life. Considering that Yuri's wife could divorce him after learning about his infidelity, it is quite possible that Diana could put her lover in the cottage. The very cottage that Vadim and Diana had built together. It was cheaper to leave it alone. The lawyer advised, wait until the children leave home, because you can't take them away from Diana until they are at least 14 years old. When the kids can decide which parent they want to stay with. Remember that Diana can also file for divorce at any time. Vadim had also considered the divorce option. He had a lot of issues to deal with. He could hardly live in the same cottage with Diana, so he started looking for a place to live. He considered the possibility of living in his parents' house on the outskirts, but it was a dead option. All these years, Vadim had not supported him, and the house had fallen into disrepair. Now it was only fit for demolition. After thinking it over, Vadim decided that having the experience of building a cottage, he would be able to build another house, especially as the neighborhood was being developed and had all the infrastructure. Suddenly he found out that these worries were in vain. His parents' house was included in a construction site and was to be demolished. In exchange, he was offered money or a one-bedroom apartment in a multi-story building that was still under construction. That's when he decided he would take the apartment. My son will grow up, get married, he'll need a place to live. My daughter will live with her mom in a cottage. And when the children grow up, he'll go somewhere else. But a lot can change in 10 years. Evening came. Vadim helped the children get ready for school, checked their backpacks. After another half hour, they were in bed. Tired for the day, they fell asleep quickly. Vadim came downstairs, and Diana was sitting in the kitchen. Without a word, Vadim walked past the kitchen and disappeared into the guest room. After 5 minutes he came out and went into the guest shower. After washing up, he returned to the guest room, where the lights soon went out. Diana realized there would be no conversation today either. Monday morning. Diana woke up early, went downstairs to the kitchen. There Vadim was already preparing breakfast. The children were still asleep. Good morning. Good morning, Vadim replied. Say, will we be able to talk to you today? Are you in a hurry somewhere? I want to tell you everything, how it happened that I got involved with Yuri. No, Diana, it's not for me. It's to the church, to the bishop. You confess to him. But to get indulgences for sins, that's the Catholics. It's true that they've kind of shut it down now. But you can buy anything. Vadim, you don't understand. I became infatuated with Yura, because we work near each other, and we sometimes met at a cafe at lunchtime. One day he invited me to lunch at a restaurant, and I accepted. But the lunch ended up at the hotel. I wish I could say I didn't do it. But I did. I was thinking about ending these meetings at any moment. But my decision to do so came too late. Vadim, I'm sorry, I love you. Tell me, is there anything I can do? Is there anything I can do to make this right? Diana cried, unable to cope with her emotions. Vadim didn't comfort her, he just replied. We'll discuss everything tomorrow. And now the children are waking up, and I need to witness all this, and your tears. You knew what you were getting into. I'll pick up the kids after school and bring them home. Vadim's Monday flew by as usual, except for the fact that Yuri called his office phone in the afternoon. Vadim, hi. What do you want? Can we meet? I don't see the point, and I think it's dangerous. For who? For myself. I got kids to raise, and I'm gonna be in jail. I want to explain everything to you. I don't want that, and forget my phone. Vadim ended the call and hung up. He looked at his cell phone, judging by the unanswered calls, Yuri had tried to call there too. At lunchtime, he picked up the kids and took them home, where he quickly set the table for them, and said, Eat, put the dishes in the sink and do your homework. Diana came to work. Svetlana showed up with her, wearing a lot of foundation. One of the employees, who moonlighted as a makeup artist, looked at her and sighed and said, No, Svetlana, you did not disguise the lantern under the eye, you emphasized it. Sit down, we'll redo everything, and at the same time you'll tell me who highlighted it for you. Can you hide it all? Of course, makeup is a form of makeup. Sit down, while the bosses are gathered for 5-minute meetings. Svetlana sat down on the chair and at the same time started talking to Diana, asking her how her conversation with Vadim had gone. Diana had nothing to say, since there was, in fact, no conversation. At lunchtime, Diana ran to the cafe where she usually met Yuri. He was already there. They sat down at a table, and she told him everything that was going on. Yuri hesitated and said, "With Vadim, of course, it is better not to meet now. But I'll call him on his office phone after lunch and talk to him. If he's okay with me, then I'll see him. Otherwise, I'm afraid it'll be embarrassing. Katya already asked when we're going to your birthday party. And she suggested we have New Year's Eve at our place. Yura, if she went to him, there'd be trouble. He said he didn't want to see my guests covering our affair." Who was covering? Svetka knew. It's like that, what Svetka knows, the whole office knows. Vadim came home from work at his usual time. Diana had also already come home and started cooking dinner for the whole family. Vadim, having changed into his home clothes, went to the children. He checked how they had coped with their homework and engaged in the usual educational children's games. This went on until about 9:30. Then Diana called everyone to dinner. After dinner, having put the children to bed, Vadim went to the guest room and soon the lights went out. Tuesday came, and in the morning everything was as usual. In the evening, after returning home, at the end of dinner, Vadim put the children to bed and came into the kitchen. Diana, who had finished cleaning the dishes, was sitting at the table, waiting to talk. Vadim started first. "So, Diana, have you made up your mind about Yuri?" "There's nothing to decide. Everything between us is over. We both realize we've done something stupid. Do you hope to continue the affair behind my back in Catherine's? Or will you divorce us and start a new family? We want to keep the families we have today. What makes you think I would agree to that? We have children. We love them, and we want them to grow up in a normal family. And I love you. It's a little late to bring up the kids, and you're suddenly talking about loving me. I should point out, you betrayed all of that. My proposal is that we remain husband and wife, nominally only. And we live together only for the sake of our daughter Genya and our son Nikolai. It's a joint epic, and it lasts until the children come of age. In the house we do everything together, but you remember that I am still a man, and so occasionally I will go on business trips. Sometimes I'll stay late after work. Or work on Saturdays. Are you gonna date another woman?" "No, I'll date other women. That way I'll have a sort of selection process, and in 10 years, when our children are finally grown up, I'll know who wants me. It's out of the question for me to bring someone home to my house. What's my part in this? I don't. At home, for the children, we pretend to be a friendly family, but we sleep in separate rooms. Where you'll go and with whom, I'm not interested. The only thing is, we'll coordinate our outings so the kids aren't left alone. What about my birthday? That's your problem, and I've already made my point. No guests at the cottage. Are you going to the cafe? No, you can't count me in on your birthday. So you can go out, I'll take care of the kids. What if I don't agree to it? Here's the next option. You refuse my proposal. Then I file a petition in court for a dissolution of marriage. Grounds for divorce could be adultery. Although, so the kids won't be ashamed of their mom, I'll file on grounds of irreconcilable differences. I don't want to put you in a negative light in front of the kids and show them what you really are. I understand all that, but I'm not going along with the divorce. I know our laws are flawed. I realize the court will award the children to you. Yes, and regarding our cottage, there may be arguments, but I don't want to take away from my children, their home. I could stay in a fake marriage with you for the sake of the kids. I know if I leave, the kids won't be happy because they'll have a weekend dad. But there's no other way out. I say again, I will not accept a divorce. I have already begun to say that our legislation is imperfect, and I inform you that there is no law there that would oblige me to live with you. Besides, you are an attractive woman with many good character traits. You can still be beautiful to another man and even be the mother of his children. I once wanted to be your husband, and it happened. Today I don't want that anymore. Not because I don't love you, but because I don't believe you anymore. I don't believe that you can be sincere. And when there's no faith, love dies. Vadim, what about a third option? What would that be? We forget about what happened and start living from scratch. If necessary, we'll see a psychologist. I just explained to you, I have no faith in you. Have you ever wondered what love is based on? No. I just loved you, my kids, my parents. Yuri. I wasn't in love with Yuri, and I realized that. In fact, he turned out to be a coward. When I told him that you knew everything, he didn't even think about how to help me, he only thought about himself. How's he gonna get out of it? Let me put it this way. The main components of a love relationship are intimacy, passion, and commitment. It's a kind of love triangle. Intimacy is connection, trust, care, respect, sharing, compassion. Passion is a strong need to be with a person, possessiveness, inability to imagine one's life without one's partner. Commitment is a decision to be with a person always, despite all possible problems. I didn't realize it was so complicated. You've ruined it all. Of intimacy, my trust in you is gone, my respect for you is lost. Out of passion, you have a need to be with someone other than me. Out of commitment, the decision to be with me, you replaced the commitment with a lover. Nevertheless, I insist on considering the option I have proposed. All right. It's Tuesday, so you have until Friday to think about it. We'll reconvene tonight and talk it over. But for now, I'm starting to live my life the way I'm comfortable with. The conversation was over. Vadim got up and disappeared into the guest room. Diana walked to the bedroom. All of Vadim's proposals didn't suit her. She didn't know what to do against them. I realized that on Friday, there would be a very serious conversation, and in fact, determining the fate of their marriage. Whether a compromise was possible. And then there was Yuri, who begged her to take all measures to prevent this story from reaching his wife. Because he knew that she would throw him out of her life for that. His wife, Katya, was a practical woman. She was always looking ahead. Today, Diana realized that she too would be in trouble if Katya found out about their affair. And listening to Vadim today, Diana knew Katya would find out as soon as she asked him why they weren't visiting. And if Yuri was also there, it would end in a fight. On another, ordinary working day, Vadim, near the end of the working day, called Diana and said, "I'm in a meeting today, I'll be late. So feed the children and put them to bed." "Where are you going?" But Diana's question remained unanswered. Vadim put the car in the parking lot near the office, took his gym bag from it and walked to the gym. He made an appointment to go to the gym. Vadim used to box and now he was in shape, but he was still overweight and decided to get rid of it. He started training from today. He gave himself gradual loads, and after 2 hours of training, he decided that that was enough for today. I took a shower, got dressed, walked down the street towards my office. On the way he went to a cafe, had a heavy dinner, after which he took his car from the parking lot and drove home. He arrived home around 10 p.m. He went to his room, changed into his home clothes, checked if the children were asleep. The light was on in the kitchen, but Vadim didn't go in there. He went back to his room and went to bed. 2 days passed. Friday came, but as of that day, children started their fall vacation and stayed home from the morning, and Saturday was Diane's birthday. Diane invited the people she wanted to see for her birthday. She called Vadim, too. But he ignored the invitation. And in the evening, an hour before the end of the working day, he called her and said, "I apologize. I promised you that I would discuss everything with you today, but I didn't take into account that the kids are on vacation. But they studied well, and I'm leaving with them today, and will be there in about a week. I promise they'll call you tomorrow and wish you a happy birthday. Vadim, don't leave me." But Vadim had already hung up. Diana came home after work, and her friend Sveta arrived with her. Diana set the table. They sat down in the kitchen and opened a bottle of wine. Svetlana asked. "So they left and he didn't say anything?" "Said they left, and postponed our conversation for a week. Promised the kids would call tomorrow. What do you think we should do about his offers?" "I don't know. I offered him my option, but he never said anything back to me." "And how did he behave these days?" "Vadim started going out late. After I tried to ask him where he went, he didn't say anything. I realized that I should mind my own business and not ask him questions. Maybe he's just having fun, like going out for a drink, somewhere in a cafe. I think he loves you and he's not going anywhere. That's the thing, he comes in sober and late. He checks on the kids, takes a shower, goes to bed. If I'm in the kitchen, he doesn't even go in there. I don't know what to do." "And what tomorrow?" says Katya. "You invited her. Where was I supposed to go?" "I was at her birthday party 6 months ago. Then with Yurka I got all twisted up." "Yes, you told me about it. How will you get out of it tomorrow? Did you invite Yurka too?" "I'll only invite my wife." At that time, Vadim and his children were driving along the highway, in a tourist bus, in the direction of Moscow. He had planned the trip with his children, and had discussed everything with them long ago. The only thing that worried him on the road was his daughter Zhinka. But Vadim himself took the trip with the utmost care and took with him everything that was necessary. We were going to St. Petersburg, bypassing Moscow by a bypass road. The group was packed and Vadim's attention was drawn to a pretty woman, Natalia, with her daughter Nastia, who was Eugenia's age. The girls became fast friends and went everywhere together at stops, accompanied by Vadim and Natalia from afar. Kolya, Vadim's son, was more independent, but kept close to his father. When everyone had settled into their seats on the bus, Vadim got to know his neighbors and gave Natalia a recommendation not to sit Nastia by the window. Natalia asked, "What could happen?" "Nothing much. When we were traveling in the daytime, the trees and houses flashing by, combined with the monotony of the traffic, would just make her sick. The best option is for her to sit and look forward, in the direction of travel. At night, and during the day too, cold air would be drawn in from the window." Natalia agreed with Vadim's arguments. When, late in the evening, they were approaching the Moscow Ring Road, a long sanitary stop was announced. Vadim and Natalia took the children to the toilets and then went to a cafe, where they had a delicious dinner. On the bus Nastia and Zhinka sat together, Nikolai sat in Nastia's seat. In half an hour the children were already sleeping peacefully. Vadim covered them with his jacket. When dawn broke, they were approaching St. Petersburg. Gradually everyone began to wake up, and soon the little engines were ready for action. Check-in at the hotel was to take place after 12 o'clock. So there was a stop at a large shopping center, which was open 24 hours a day. There, the tourists had almost 2 hours of free time. The first thing Vadim and Natalia did was to look for the toilets, and then the cafe. After a hearty breakfast, they just walked around the shopping center, looking at the goods. At the appointed time, we got on the bus. They drove around St. Petersburg, and a local guide got on the bus and gave a sightseeing tour of the city. After 12 o'clock, she said goodbye to everyone, and soon they arrived at the hotel. The hotel was essentially a 2-room apartment. Toilet and shower were per block, which consisted of 2 rooms. There were 2 beds in one room, where Natalia and Nastia moved in, and 3 beds in the other room, where Vadim and his children moved in. But Natalia offered to swap rooms, and as a result she moved into a room with Nastia and Genya, while Vadim moved into a room with his son Nikolai. After settling in, Vadim dialed Diana's phone and suggested that the children congratulate their mother on her birthday. Svetlana stayed overnight at Diana's house on Friday. In the morning, a friend of theirs from work was going to come and do Diana's hair and makeup. The friends decided that she would also cover up Svetka's black eye. At about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Diana's phone rang. When she looked, she saw that it was Vadim. Immediately she dropped everything and answered. "Hello, Vadim, I'm listening." Somewhere in the back of her mind, she thought Vadim hadn't gone anywhere and would show up at the birthday party with the kids. Like a long-awaited, unexpected surprise. But instead of Vadim, it was her son Nikolai who answered and said, "Mom, I wish you a happy birthday." "Thank you, son, and where are you? Will you come to my birthday party?" "Oh Mom, we are far away. This afternoon, let's go to the Winter Palace." At this time, she heard her daughter's voice. "Coca, you are confusing everything. To the Winter Palace, we go tomorrow. Today we're going to take a boat ride on the Neva, and Dad said we're going to chase Chitzik the Pooch, who was drinking vodka on the fountain. And we'll also go to see the Peter and Paul Fortress, and Aunt Natasha said we'll also go to the monument to the Bronze Horseman. Give me the phone." "Mom, Coca always gets things mixed up. Where's Dad?" "He went to take a shower after Aunt Natasha, we're leaving soon, and we'll wash tonight." "Who's Aunt Natasha?" "That's Nastia's mom. And she's in the shower with Daddy?" "No. Daddy's alone in the shower." "What, did you call me yourself?" "No, Daddy dialed your number, and he went into the shower. So I wish you a happy birthday, and I wish you good health." "Thank you, daughter." When the conversation with the children was finished, Diana burst into tears. Her friends Svetlana and Tatiana, who had arrived, looked at her in bewilderment. The conversation seemed to start normally. Finally, Svetlana said, "Diana, what are you doing? Calm down. It's all right, isn't it? They'll be back. Vacation will be over soon. Vacation just started. And he's not alone. He's already met someone. Or maybe he had it all planned out. And who is she? I don't know. Some Natasha, Nastia's mom. What's there to cry about? Wake up. What did you do to yourself? I didn't know it hurt so much. Now you know." At that time the group gathered for an excursion. As the guide announced, they were going to Zeishi Island. The children immediately attacked with questions, and they were most concerned about the presence of hares on the island. The tour guide explained. "There are many lions in St. Petersburg, but they are monuments. Live lions can be found only in the St. Petersburg Zoo, which was founded on August 1, 1865. So it is with the Zeishi Island, but once upon a time, there really were hares there. Peter the Great liked this very place. As a result, on May 27, 1703, the fortress of St. Petersburg was laid on the small Zeishi Island. It was the first construction of the future city. Soon, the fortress was renamed Petropavlovskaya, after the name of the cathedral built on its territory. The only hare there today is mounted on one of the pillars of the St. John's Bridge leading to Zeishi Island. The figure of the hare, which survived the flood, is 58 centimeters high. They arrived at the fortress, where they had a sightseeing tour, and at the end of the tour they were given the opportunity to walk around the fortress on their own and visit the casemates of Zatov's bastion. After that, we were taken to the cruiser Aurora. Then we took a bus to Mikhailovsky Castle, but there the children were more impressed by Chitzik Pyzik. The most miniature sculpture in St. Petersburg, installed on the Fontanka River, near Mikhailovsky Castle, next to the first engineering bridge. The height of the figure is only 11 centimeters. According to the belief, if you make a wish and hit the pedestal on which cheatingcheating stands with a coin, the wish will come true. Nastya and Genya and Kolya tried to make a wish come true. They flipped a coin, and Natalia and Vadim. Natalia was lucky. Only she threw a coin on the pedestal of cheatingcheating. The coin flew along some strange trajectory, and the probability that it would remain on the pedestal was 0. Next was a visit to St. Isaac's Cathedral, the largest Orthodox church in St. Petersburg. The children, who had just been actively fighting on the bus, quieted down. After the visit to the cathedral, free time was announced. For those who wanted, they could stay on St. Isaac's Square. To get to the hotel on your own, by metro. After weighing everything and talking to Natalia, Vadim decided to stay in town and just walk around. The weather, despite the late fall, was nice. At that time, in a cafe, Diana was accepting congratulations and gifts from her guests. In a separate hall, a table was set up. All the guests were escorted to this hall, and there they were met by the birthday girl. Yuri and his wife Ekaterina also appeared. They came up to Diana, gave her flowers and a gift. Catherine was magnificent. With her beauty, she outshone all the women in the room. She held herself lightly and freely, and was at ease in conversation. Asked Diana, "Where did you hide Vadim? Did he stay with the kids?" "No, worse, he went on vacation with the kids to St. Petersburg. He has been promising them this trip for a long time. We don't want to go there in the summer, as we want to go to the sea. And in winter it's not really interesting because it's cold. So we decided to go now. But they had already called me back and congratulated me." Yuri, on the contrary, behaved shyly, answering questions one syllable. The guests gathered at the appointed time, and everyone sat down at the table. Katya asked, unable to resist. "Why did you decide not to celebrate your birthday at home? Less to cook and less to clean up afterwards. You remember how much work you had the day after your birthday." "Yeah, you're right about that. It's all good in the evening, but it's the cleanup afterwards." Soon the first toasts were made to the health of the birthday girl. Then the music started to play. The men began to invite Diana to join them. But of all the suitors, Diana chose Yuri. They started dancing, and other couples joined them. Yuri asked, "Nothing from Vadim? He didn't even congratulate me. What did you decide with him?" "Nothing. He left without telling me. I came home from work and they weren't home. Then he called and said the kids were gonna congratulate me. And I told you, they congratulated me. What are you gonna do?" He offered 2 options, I offered 1. "Which one did he choose?" "I choose one of his 2 options. And I don't like either one, I told you. My head is so full, I don't remember anything." "What about Katya? She doesn't know anything." "She doesn't know yet. But she's already asked how Vadim is doing." "Listen, won't your girlfriends talk? Svetlana's a tough cookie. She got punched in the eye by her boyfriend." "Her beau?" "Yeah. She came to visit his parents and a second beau walked in, whom she was also dating at the time." The music was over. The evening passed without excesses and scandals. When everything was finished, Diana called a cab. She collected presents and flowers, paid for the cafe's services and went home. Svetlana and Tatiana went with her. At home they set the table in the kitchen. As we sat down, Svetlana asked, "Diana, what were you whispering about during the dance with Yuri? He was interested in how I was doing and how Vadim reacted. Didn't you say anything to him?" "I did, but he seems to only think about himself. He doesn't remember anything." "What will you do with Vadim?" "Wait for him to come back from his trip." At this time in St. Petersburg, in their room, Natalia and Vadim were sitting at the table and talking. The son was asleep in his bed. Nastya and Zhenka, who had become girlfriends, slept in their room. They walked around the evening city, went to a cafe, where they had dinner, then went to a department store and bought more groceries. When they got to the hotel, the children took a shower. While Natalia was busy with the girls, Vadim was setting the table. The children got out of the shower, went to the room. There they combed and dried their hair, under Natalia's guidance. At that time, Nikolai went into the shower. When he came out of the shower, everyone was sitting at the table, waiting for him. So there was a late dinner, after which the children, tired for the day, scattered to their rooms and instantly fell asleep. Vadim, looking at them, quoted, "We've rolled up the sidewalk, steep slides. Vadim, aren't you tired?" "If only a little, but I'm practically resting here." "You're resting?" "I'm tired, though you're doing a great job with the kids, including Nastia." "It's simple, just before I left, I found out that my wife was cheating on me with a friend of mine. And it's been going on for 3 months. This discovery caused me unbearable pain. I wanted nothing more, only one thing, something to take away the pain. That's why I'm going on this trip. It's a familiar story. I understand what you're going through. I had the same thing happen to me a year ago." "What did you do?" "I took Nastia and went to live with my mom. So all I have to do now is take care of my daughter, and work. Everything else is on the back burner, including my personal life. You, on the other hand, have to make a decision about your life. I'm afraid my marriage is over. I've considered every option. Everything I could think of to try to save the marriage, to no avail. While I'm not in favor of divorce, I still don't see how this marriage can be saved. I offered my wife options. But I didn't get an answer as to which one she chose. One thing I know so far, there's no such thing as a good divorce. Vadim, I don't even know what I can advise you. And I won't advise you anything. It's your life, and it's yours to live. Now, I'm sorry. I think it's time for us to go to bed, so I'm gonna go see the girls. I have to get up early tomorrow." "Yes, I agree. Tomorrow we have the capture of the Winter Palace. And the day after tomorrow we'll go to Peterhov, past the Konstantinovsky Palace, to Strelnya. Have you been to these places before?" "Actually, I studied in Peter. But I didn't know a lot of things. I didn't have time to run around the historical sites." When they were going to bed, the phone rang unexpectedly. Vadim looked up, it was Katya calling. He answered the phone. Vadim woke up early. He looked around, Nikolai was sleeping peacefully, his daughter was asleep in the next room, under Natalia's supervision. He got up quietly, washed his face and set the table for breakfast, then woke his son. He made the beds and knocked in the next room, telling them it was time to get up. There was some fussing, then laughter. Natalia replied. "Vadim, we're getting up now. Come on, I've already prepared breakfast." According to the terms of the trip, the organizers provided food only at lunchtime. So we had to worry about breakfast and dinner ourselves. After breakfast and hurried packing, we got on the bus and set off. We arrived at Palace Square. While the group listened to the tour guide, the trip organizer purchased entrance tickets to the Winter Palace. They listened to stories about the Alexander Column, Triumphal Arch and the main headquarters of the Winter Palace located around the square. Here Vadim learned for the first time that the Alexander Column, standing in the center of the square, was made of a single piece of pink granite and was not fixed in any way. That's why, for the first time after its installation, people were afraid to walk on the square. And only with time did the citizens of the city believe that the architect had not made a mistake in his calculations. Adorning it was an angel, one of the 3 heavenly guardians of the city. Next was the Winter Palace, with its fabulous splendor of halls. Our travelers were also interested in the difference between the Winter Palace and the Hermitage. And isn't it the same thing? The tour guide explained. The Hermitage is the entire museum complex. The main museum complex is several buildings along the palace embankment. And the Winter Palace is only one building in the main museum complex. The Hermitage was started by Catherine the Great, when she received 317 valuable paintings by Dutch artists from Germany as payment for a debt. The Empress placed them in remote chambers of the palace, calling these rooms the Hermitage, which means secluded place in French. After passing through countless rooms and halls, they went to the exit. When asked what they liked most of all, Nicholas answered for all of them. The Knights' Hall. There are knights on horses, as if they were alive. We went outside, wandered around a bit more and went to the hotel. Diana woke up alone in the cottage that day. Looked at her phone, found she had missed calls from her mom. She had called last night, dialed her. "Hello, Mom, you called, is something wrong?" "Daughter, what could have happened?" "We wanted to wish you a happy birthday." "Yeah, we didn't get through." "Oh, Mom, we celebrated in a cafe, not at home." "It's the fashionable thing to do." "Why didn't your son-in-law answer the phone?" "He went on vacation to St. Petersburg with the kids, on a tour." "So you won't bring the kids to us for the vacations?" "Why did he go God knows where when it's his wife's birthday?" "Daughter, are you all right?" "He and I had a little fight. But it's just a normal, shall we say, small family quarrel. When he comes back, I think we'll make up." "Oh, you're not telling the truth, daughter." "Oh, come on. I wish you a happy birthday, now that it's past." "When can I expect a visit?" "When the children arrive, which is near the end of the vacation." Diana spent the whole day waiting for a call from Vadim. Slowly, she did a general cleaning of the cottage. After lunch, Yuri called her, crying, and said, "Diana, Katya found out about me cheating on her." "What makes you think that?" "It looks like your friend, the flinty one, told her everything." "Svetka? When did she do that?" "How do I know?" "Only at the end of the night, last night Katya was calm. But at home she got angry and made a scandal. She said she was gonna divorce me." "How did she know that?" "She suspected something at the cafe. At home, she confronted me about what I did with you. I'll be honest, I kept my mouth shut." "So what did she torture you with?" "With an iron." "Is that why you're crying like a woman right now?" "No, she took the easy way out. She called Vadim. But his cell phone is disconnected." "I'm sorry." "She got through." "And what happened?" "She gave me a crack, and she made a scene. Said if she'd known about it, she never would have gone to your birthday party." "So now what?" "I don't know, she's kicking me out of the house, but for now she's letting me live at the dacha, out of town, where we used to meet. And I don't know what to do now. I don't kn. Ow that either. I thought you were gonna give me some advice." "Talk to Katya." "Me, with Katya? How can you imagine that? I'm afraid to even meet her now." "Where are you now?" "I'm at the cottage. I left last night. I'm going to Katya's to get some of my stuff. I have to work tomorrow." "Is she home?" "Yeah, she's home. I called, she said she'd pack up what's mine and put it in the vestibule. I'm not to go anywhere near the apartment. And she won't show me the kids. So the kids are on vacation." "I know, when we went to your birthday party, we took them to my mother-in-law and father-in-law's." "How are you getting there?" "She gave me the car back. Said she was gonna charge me 50% of the car's value." "So you got behind the wheel drunk and drove off? What if you'd been pulled over?" "It's all right, I passed. At 3 o'clock in the morning, there was no one on the road." "You sober now?" "Yeah, I haven't had a drink today. I'm thinking, what do I do now?" "Talk to her." "Yeah, and she's gonna hit me in the face with a rolling pin again." "So she hit you?" "She hit me once. When I woke up, I was lying in the hallway, covered in blood. She split my eyebrow. What did she say? She said I'd better pack up and leave while she let me live. I didn't argue with her. She didn't even care that I had blood all over my face. You see the state she's in. And you're suggesting I confront her. She's gonna kill me. Yes, we've made a mess of things. The next day, the travelers rose in the morning, for they were to go to the great Petergov Palace. Driving along the ring road, we passed various forts in the sea. And, on one side was the Neva Bay, on the other, the Gulf of Finland. We reached Kotlin Island, where the town of Kronstadt was located, and in 40 minutes we were in Peterhof. As a rule, the Great Peterhof Palace, for visitors, works from April to October, but this year, due to the abnormally warm fall, the terms of work were extended. Even the famous fountains were working. There were a lot of impressions. The children rushed around the numerous sculptures of lions. Vadim and Natalia helped them climb up the sculptures polished to a shine. We walked around Peterhof until lunchtime. Later we got on a bus, drove through Strelna, past the Konstantinovsky Palace, and were soon in St. Petersburg, the city being much closer this way. We had lunch, and again there was a suggestion to walk around the city. One day, we visited the parlor, where all categories of goods were represented. We walked there for a long time, and in the end we returned to the hotel with our new clothes. All the days of St. Petersburg flew by like that. They went home. The excursion was coming to an end. Everyone in the group was sure that Vadim and Natalia were husband and wife, and their children were with them. Meanwhile, in their city, passions were running high. Diana, meeting Svetlana at work, took her to a secluded corner and asked, "What did you say to Yurka's wife at my birthday party?" "Diana, I didn't even talk to her." "Then how does she know we were seeing him?" "How do I know?" "At the end of the evening, when you were doing the second dance with him, I was sitting with Tatiana and we were saying that it was a shame, you were such a beautiful couple, but you had to break up because Vadim found out about it. Maybe she heard something." "Where was Katya sitting?" "She was sitting off to the side, but the music was playing loudly." "What happened then?" "We started going home. We helped you gather flowers and presents." "What happened?" "That's what happened. Because of you Katya found out. You don't know what two dignified women talk about. Two drunken fools discussing a lot of things in the wrong place. And Katya started to find out everything from Yurka, and then she just called Vadim. And he told her everything. Maybe you and Yurka will get together." "Listen, don't be silly. I was interested in him for a while, but Vadim is better than him, many times over. Besides, we have kids, and Yurka has kids. When's Vadim coming?" "I don't know, but vacation will be over soon." The bus was approaching the city, the trip was coming to an end. Vadim asked Natalia where she worked and lived. It turned out that she lives with her daughter in the apartment she inherited from her ex-husband. And she works close to home. The apartment is in the neighborhood where he rented the apartment. Natalia and her daughter regularly go to the city center, to the swimming pool, where they go to a health group. Vadim was also keen to enroll Zhenka and Nikolai there. After discussing everything, they agreed to meet there on the next day off. We arrived home. There was no one in the cottage, Diana was at work. The kitchen and all the rooms were tidy. This included the guest room that Vadim occupied. Vadim thought about it and took out the lock he had bought earlier and installed it in his door quite quickly. In the evening he got ready and went to the gym for a workout. As he was driving the car out of the gate, Diana returned from work. She wanted to say something, but Vadim ignored her appeal. There was a note on the table in the kitchen where he had written, "Fed the kids, made dinner." And that was all the text. Diana tried to call him, but his phone was out of range. The children were happy to see their mom, telling her about the trip. About what they had seen and where they had been. But Diana was more interested in Vadim's relationship with Natalia. And she tried to find out from the children who the woman was. Diana waited for Vadim, but he came home, as he had done on previous days, walked past the kitchen where she was sitting, and disappeared into his room. She knocked, he opened the door, asked, "What's wrong? Can we talk?" After the kids' vacation was over, 2 days later. The next day, Friday, Diana went to work. Vadim got up in the morning, fed the children and went with them to the children's polyclinic, where he got the health certificates needed to go to the swimming pool. They stopped by the swimming pool, where they bought 3 passes to attend a health group twice a week. On Saturday, Diana was at home and heard Kolya and Genya having breakfast with Vadim, but she was not even called to the table. On Monday the children had to go to school. She woke up, as she always did on weekends, later in the day. She found her husband in the semi-basement room, where they had a washing machine, doing laundry, his own and the children's. I decided to let him be nervous, and without breakfast, I got dressed and left. She was at her friend Svetlana's house, but one of her many suitors came to her unexpectedly, and she had to leave. She returned home and found that neither the children nor Vadim were home. They did not show up until late in the evening. The children sat down to dinner, and Diana sat down with them. Vadim had a quick snack and went to his room. When he left, Diana began to ask where they had been all day. "My daughter Zhinka said. And I swam with Nastia in the pool, in the frog pool." "Where was Kolya?" "He was with us." Kolya said contemptuously. "There's only waist-deep water there. But a lot of it." "Where was Daddy?" "He was swimming with Aunt Natasha in the big pool." "Will you take me to the pool?" "They won't let you in." "Why not?" "You don't have a certificate." "Are you going to the pool tomorrow?" "No. Twice a week, Saturday and Wednesday." After waiting for her husband to come into the kitchen, Diana turned to him. "Can't we talk after all? I see you found a new mom for my kids." "No, I didn't find anyone." "Talk. Let's do it. If you're ready for this conversation. Tell her what you told Katina about me and Yura." "I told her the truth. I don't see the need to hide anything from her. You know, she kicked him out of the house. It's an estranged family. I didn't give Katya any advice, just as I didn't advise my former friend to take my wife to his dacha. But it happened nonetheless. It's none of my business. And we are discussing now not Catherine and Yuri's family and the problems in their lives, but our problems created with you. So my question is, are you and Yuri going to start a family, or are you going to continue? I've already said that with Yuri I've stopped everything. Are there going to be others? I didn't say that. How do you view my proposal that we remain husband and wife, only nominally, and live together only for the sake of daughter Genya and son Nikolai? When the children reach the age of majority, we divorce. I am against this proposal and insist on my proposal. You mean a clean slate? That's right. You showed me how little you thought about me, about the kids, you put your proposal forward and expected me to just sit back. I still don't know what your real opinion of me is. You knew we couldn't have a relationship after what you did. No, Diane, talking to you today didn't change anything for me. I wanted to make up with you for the kids, and you wouldn't take it. You expected me to hold on to my love for you, but there's no more love. So what now? Divorce. But I don't agree. We have kids. You know I can take them. I'm not giving them away. I know, but I won't forget the children. Vadim got up and went to his room. In the morning Diana woke up and went down to the kitchen. Vadim and the children were having breakfast there. It was obvious that they were discussing some serious matter. The children were sitting thoughtful. Vadim was silent as well. With Diana's appearance, he said. I told the children that we had broken up and that I would not live here. I'll move out today, but I'll come and take them to school every morning. I'll also pick them up from school, take them to the pool twice a week. Your job is to feed them. I will pay money for the children's maintenance once a month. For communication with my children, I bought them cell phones, which I wanted to give them as gifts for the new year. But I'll give them to them earlier. Vadim, I thought we were done with all this. I admitted my one-time mistake with Yurka, but I have no idea why you're doing all this now. We have to stop this strife and move on with our lives. Basically, I'm worried about you. It's just hard for you to get over my stupidity. I realize that, but this divorce thing could hurt our kids. We can work through this. Maybe we should go to counseling together, I think that would help us. Diane. You've ruined something that can't be fixed, no matter how much we want it to. With you, I'll always live in perpetual doubt, and it will destroy us both anyway. I told you everything yesterday. And I want to move on. Having said that, Vadim got up and went to pack his things. An hour later, having loaded the car, he left. Diana sat in the kitchen and sobbed. The children retired to their rooms. Vadim kept his promise. He regularly came to pick up the children, drove them to and from school. He took them to the swimming pool twice a week. Diana knew nothing about his life, but she knew that he met Natalia and her daughter Nastia at the pool. 2 weeks before the winter vacation, he announced to Diana that he was going with the children on a tourist trip to Moscow for 5 days, and they would celebrate New Year's Eve there. In December, after Diana returned home from work, the bell rang and she opened the door. It was the postmistress, who brought a registered letter. Diana opened the envelope and took out a petition for dissolution of marriage. Until today, she hadn't believed that Vadim would dare to do it. She called him from her daughter's cell phone. He withdrew. Genya, I'm listening to you. It's not Genya, it's me, Diana. What do you want? I got a court filing. You filed for divorce? I told you about it. You said it yourself, the years are ticking away, so I figured I should move on. So you're seeing Natalia? It's not just her, I meet a lot of women I've never seen before. So, you're out, and you're allowed to do it, but I'm not allowed to do it. After years of marriage, you leave me. Without even trying to save our marriage. You're out of your mind if you're going to divorce me because of my stupid affair with Yuri. It was a stupid and pointless affair, it was wrong, and I admit it. Oh, my gosh. What you did, and my ex-boyfriend, was a betrayal. And now you're blaming it on me. The divorce went through, Vadim paid dearly for his wife's affair. He knew the court would leave the children to Diana. After talking to the lawyer, Vadim gave up his share in the cottage. He divided it between Zhinka and Nikolai. He kept the car for himself. He needed it because he drove the children to school. The children took their parents' divorce very badly, and Vadim had to make a lot of effort to make them stop hating their mother. One day, when Vadim was waiting in the car for the children to go to the swimming pool, Diana got in and said, Vadim. I realize I've ruined everything, and there's no going back. I lost you, and I lost the kids. They tolerate me somehow, but I think it's only because of your efforts. I've decided that I'll leave you the cottage and move in with my parents. I've already moved some of my things out. I remember we agreed that we wouldn't bring guests to the cottage. I broke that agreement. Svetlana and Tatiana came here to see me. My friends. They also introduced me to your Natalia. I even became friends with her somewhere. The kids speak very highly of her. I talked to her. It's an intrusion into your private life, of course, but I needed it to realize that we can't go back, but you and Natalia have a future. A future I will not resist. Tonight after the pool, I'll meet you and Natalia here and we'll talk about it. Does Natalia know about this? Yeah, I told her an hour ago and I asked her not to tell you. I wanted to do it myself. That afternoon, a conversation took place between Diana, Vadim and Natalia. Vadim was really serious about dating Natalia. Natalia also took him quite seriously, but did not rush him anywhere, content with little. Vadim moved out of the rented apartment and lived, to Nastia's satisfaction, at their place. Diana said sadly, "I no longer have any influence on the children or Vadim, and I have no influence on you too. I've ruined everything with my stupidity. All I know is that we have to move on somehow. So I decided, Vadim, I trust you with the children, the only thing I ask is that you don't restrict me from seeing them. I refuse the elements that are charged from you for the maintenance of the children, and I am ready to pay them myself. The apartment where you live now belongs to Natalia and her daughter. And that will stay that way, and this cottage will be left to Kolya and Genya. I don't need our summer cottage either, I won't be able to work the land, and my parents have enough work for me." In the end, 3 months later, Natalia and Vadim got married. Diana was also invited to the wedding. She came to this celebration, behaving quite modestly. Her own life had not worked out. She rejected the suitors her friend Svetlana offered her, as they were mostly all married. Katya divorced Yuri, and for a while he lived in a heated dacha, then rented an apartment in the city, closer to work, and moved there. For a long time he hoped to reconcile with his wife, but she never came to terms with him. After another 6 months, he learned that Katya was dating a man, and soon the man came to live with her. Yuri did not know that the man had his own nice house in the city, and that he was a widower with no children. Katya was afraid to leave her city center apartment, so she resisted the move in every possible way. Yuri never met Diana or called her again. He avoided Vadim. Their long-standing friendship ended for good.